Okay, what is better? Attack, crit damage, or pierce? You know what? I can't find any research on this. Okay, guys, so a question that I keep getting asked on stream is about attack substats on gear. And the question I keep asking is about attack, pierce, as well as critical damage. And people are asking which one is the best. Well, that is a very complicated question because the answer is very different per character and is actually different per ability per character. So we're going to go over that and talk about what the best substats are for certain characters and why they're extremely good for certain abilities but not good for others. So first off, we have Green Liz. Now, Green SR Liz is the first character that you receive in the game, and she has a very, very amazing ability called Pierce. Now, Pierce will increase your Pierce rate by 3 times. So Liz has a base Pierce rate of 30%, which will actually increase that base Pierce rate, or whatever Pierce rate you have after cosmetics, as well as awakening levels, to 90% or above, giving you a massive amount of damage. The way Pierce works is the shortest answer for Pierce is it is fixed damage on top of your normal damage. So if you take your total attack value multiplied by your Pierce value, that's the fixed damage value that you're adding on top. Not going to go over too much more detail because it can get very wonky. So for her Pierce ability, she will actually gain more damage off getting a Pierce substat roll versus an attack substat roll. That is why you can see a lot of people on the Japanese version using the same kind of strategy for Blue Demon Meliodas, using Pierce substats instead of attack substats. Is that the best strategy? Yes and no. Pierce will be a lower amount of combat class, but will also give you a higher amount of damage on your area effect attack. Unfortunately, though, Pierce will actually give you a lower damage value as well as lower combat class on your first ability, which is going to be Super Pork Loin Illusion, which does damage to a single target while also reducing offense. But the reason you brought Lizhawk to your team in the first place was because of her Pierce ability. So for Lizhawk in particular, it's actually better to go with a Pierce roll instead of an attack roll because the whole point of her was to do damage as an area of effect character. So, is an attack roll better or a Pierce roll? If you're going to be going for damage on your AoE ability, Pierce is more damage and therefore better. However, if you're going for more combat class and going for higher ranks in PvP, potentially it could be better to go with attack subset rolls so you have higher combat class so you have a chance of going first so you can actually win the fight a little bit easier. No matter what, that's going to be a choice that you're going to have to make as a player. What's more important, higher combat class for going first or potentially more damage. For farming teams, obviously Pierce is a better option to go because that will give you more damage on the area effect attack, which is the whole reason you brought her in the first place. Next character we're going to go over is going to be Green Skinny King. And Green Skinny King is a character that really scales heavily off crit damage. And crit damage really works well with his first ability, which is going to be Spirit Spear Chastiful, First Form Chastiful. And his Spirit ability will have Spike. Spike will double any critical damage that you have in your character. So if you get more critical damage, it will double that value. If you get up to, say, 300% critical damage, it will actually increase your critical damage up to 600%. So instead of getting double damage, you're getting 6 times damage on your critical hits. So giving you a massive boost to your damage on your first ability. So is crit damage better than attack? Yes, on this specific ability, it will be more damage. So overall, is it better on your whole kit? No, it is not. So, the way you can actually determine that is his second ability is going to be based off Ruin. Number of debuffs on an enemy will actually increase your total overall damage. It doesn't scale off critical damage like the first ability does, where it has 2 times critical damage. So, is crit better here? Well, not really, because it's not really helping you get more damage than attack. Attack will actually give you about the same amount of damage or more damage than this, and it could be better to go with attack. And his final ability has Shatter, which ignores all resistance rate or patience. This is actually a very amazing ability and will do tons and tons of damage to targets. Is it better to go crit damage for this? No, it's about the same. So between the two, you're going to have the similar damage between attack and critical damage for your actual hits. So what's better to go with King? Well, the reason King is such a kind of weird unit is because King actually has a passive that increases his critical chance by 10% for every ultimate gauge, giving him every time you get every time you have an ultimate gauge, you can add up to an extra 100% crit on your King. And seeing how he starts at a base critical chance of 30%, giving you up to 130% critical chance is a very large critical value. Now, of course, any bosses that have critical defense chance will actually remove some of your crit chance, so you do need above 100% chance for characters to have a guaranteed crit. So is King better with full crit damage? Well, if you're going to be having 5 ultimate gauge, yes, it's better. On your raw damage hits, will you do more damage? No. You're only really going to see big returns on King for critical damage on the first ability. On the other 2 abilities, you probably won't see that much of a return, or if any return at all. So critical damage on King can be better or it can be worse. Personally, I go full critical damage on King because I really don't care about my other 2 abilities. I really only care about his first ability because I want to see how high I can actually get on his first ability. That's why I personally go all critical damage on King, but I don't really see big returns on the other 2 abilities. So, is it better to go attack and critical damage or full critical damage on King? It's up to you and what your preference is and what you're going to be using him for. If I'm using him just for Grey Demon, I will probably go all critical damage because I feel that's going to be better. But that's going to require me to build out a full critical damage set of all SSR gear, which can actually be very expensive. I actually just finished that set recently on the Japanese version, and am I going to do it on other characters? I'm not quite sure. I'm thinking that it will be better for any ability that does have the spike ability, but for other abilities, it's about the same amount of damage between attack and critical damage. Right. Now, the last character we're going to talk about that really revolves around attack and critical damage or full critical damage is going to be Green Jericho. Green Jericho is a character that really revolves heavily on critical damage because of her passive. Her passive increases critical chance by 10% per hero skill used. Because of that, she has nearly a guaranteed critical chance at later values, giving her a very, very strong kit. Her first ability has Weak Point, which does not scale heavily off critical damage, but does scale very heavily off enemies having a debuff. And seeing how her second ability actually gives that debuff, you get a super high amount of damage if you use her second ability first, and then use her first ability to get a massive amount of damage. Her max multiplier on her first ability is actually 825% when used at a 3-star rank, which is a huge value on an attack card. However, the main thing with Jericho is that she has a 30% base critical chance as well as 170% critical damage at a very, very high critical damage value. Now, a lot of people who are on the Japanese version actually go with a full critical damage set. And the reason they go with a full critical damage set on Jericho and why it definitely makes sense for a lot of people is because a full critical damage set is extremely good for her ultimate ability, which is Spike. And the whole reason you bring Jericho to a lot of content that is very high end on JP is to get the biggest possible hit. Her max multiplier on her single target ability is 960%. That means if that hit is a critical strike and you have, say, 300% critical damage, that is a 600% boost to your 960% attack, giving you a massive, massive attack. That again, a 600% boost to your 960% card multiplier attack, which is huge. And that is basically 6 times your 960. Is nearly, what, 6,000 attack? Let me do that. Which essentially comes out to be, if it was, since it's a guarantee crit, basically a 5,670 multiplier on her ultimate ability. So that's pretty freaking big. That number's really, really, really big. So there are other ways of increasing that amount of damage even further, using Hellbrim buff, using Gil Thunder buff. You can even increase that even further by using Gustav Freezes to get the extra 200% damage there. There are tons of ways of increasing that damage even further and abusing it. So why is Jericho so good? It's because she can abuse her Spike ultimate on a single target. And the other reason she's good is because she has guaranteed critical chance on her ultimate after a certain value. And the other reason is her attack is one of the highest attack stats in the game. So overall, that is why Jericho is considered a very high-end unit for players on the Japanese version, and it was actually the highest damage single target attack until there was the release of Red Derriere. And Red Derriere to date is probably the only character that can actually out-damage single target a Green Jericho. The only other character that could possibly out-damage the Green Jericho, of course, are the blue SSR Jericho, which does similar values on damage, but is not nearly as good because of non-guaranteed critical chance, but definitely helps your whole party out a lot more. And the only other character is Red SR Lizhawk, who potentially will do more damage, but will take a lot longer to ramp up to get that.
Alright guys, my name's Sekapoko. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want more tutorials like this and you really need help in the game, please check me out live on Twitch. I'm usually live Monday through Friday, skipping Wednesdays, and of course Saturday and Sunday in the morning so you guys can have fun with me. On YouTube, we got a lot more guides, so if you need any help, just let me know. And hopefully this helps you out. Thank you guys for watching. So go ahead and like and subscribe. Have a great day.